missed anything. So we're going to start with the first one. These are all actually kind of long, so this could be a long video, but we'll see. So the first one is, am I the a-hole for going out to eat without my husband/kids because they didn't wash the dishes? Ooh. Both my husband and I work full time. I work real estate and he works at a shipyard. We both collectively work around 50 to 60 hours a week. Right, collectively. I'm assuming, yeah, not individually, that would be fucking crazy. We have 4 kids, 13-year-old twins, 12-year-old and an 8-month. My husband has every weekend off. I do not. I implicated a chore system from the time my kids were little, but ever since I had the baby, and since the kids are older, all of them have slacked off tremendously, including my husband. I pick our baby up from daycare around 5 PM, and when I get home, I usually find my husband on the couch on his phone and the kids in their rooms playing video games / watching makeup tutorials. The house is generally a mess, and honestly, the only issue I have is the dishes. I can't give a fuck about anything else because the rest of the house generally isn't dirty, just cluttered. But I have expressed several times that I am tired of having to wash all the dishes in order to cook, and have lashed out in some not so nice ways, shut off the internet entirely and took the cord out with me so that no one could use the Wi-Fi / watch TV, cancelled family trips, groundation, got into big arguments with my husband. Things will change for a week to a month and then switch right back to them refusing to help. I'm honestly so tired of it that I don't even have the energy to speak up anymore. Ugh. As I said, my husband has weekends off and the kids were home yesterday while I worked. Before I took off for the day, I told them you guys had better, your guys' chores had better be completed by the time I get home. They said yes ma'am, and I leave. I text my husband about 4:30 PM asking what they all wanted for dinner because I had to stop at the grocery store. I pick up what they said they all wanted and walk into my home to find not a single dish has been washed, and there was at least 10 more dishes in the sink. From when I left this morning. I also noted that only a load of laundry had been washed and was still sitting in the washer and was never switched to the dryer. Husband was on his ass on the couch watching YouTube, kids off playing video games, baby in a walker. So I put the groceries on the table back to back for the baby and told my husband, have at it, I'm going to Applebee's, and left. Maybe 20 minutes later he calls and said, I washed the dishes, sorry, I was super tired today. I told him that's zero excuse at all, and there's 3 older kids who have chores. He couldn't even step up and tell his kids to complete anything either. It's pure laziness at this point. He said, I know, I'm sorry, I'm trying to work on it. Can you just come home? I don't know how to make this dish. It's a pretty difficult dish, but Google is free. I told him, no, I'm sitting at Applebee's and will be enjoying my steak and shrimp with the baby in peace. And that him and the other kids can fend for themselves because, apology or not, I'm not letting him off the hook here. He had me on speakerphone, so him and all the kids laid right into me, asking me to please grab them something from Applebee's. It's all our favourite restaurant. I don't know what an Applebee's is, I've never been there because we don't have it in the UK. I said absolutely not and hung up the phone. When I returned home, the groceries had been put away and apparently they had grilled cheese and cereal for dinner. My husband and kids are still pissed at me. I told them this is how it will be every single time they don't do chores from now on. Am I the a-hole? No, I wouldn't really say so. I think it's complicated. It is and it isn't. So first of all, I can't remember if it was the last video or maybe it wasn't even in a video, I don't really remember, but basically, even if she wasn't working and it was just him working, here's the thing about that though, right, just because one partner works, I'm not going to say the man or the woman, etc., because that dichotomy is very different than it used to be. But when one partner is working full time, yes, and the other person is not, there is an understanding, usually a mutual agreement, that that other person focuses on keeping the home in an orderly fashion if they are not actively working to earn money for the income of the household, and that doesn't mean they're a slave to their partner. Let's just make that very clear. It's a mutual agreement of I will earn the money to keep us alive, you also stay alive in other ways. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that if that is how you want to live. Now, generally speaking, in today's economic climate, that is just not plausible anymore. What people used to call the nuclear home, it just isn't a viable thing anymore because financially that doesn't work. Both Katie and I work. Katie earns more than I do, and we, it's not easy. And that's both of us working, and she's a teacher. So anyway, my point being that even if you have that agreement, right? Even if you have that agreement that you're gonna, one person's gonna work, one person's gonna keep the house. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean they're doing it all the time, right? So, by that, what I mean is, say for example, in this case, let's say the husband comes back from work. Let's just say she wasn't working, just for the sake of the argument of this conversation. He comes back from work. He does let's just say he does an 8-hour day, so 9 to 5. Comes back home, and he wants to relax. That's fair. He's just been working all day. But at the same time, what about her? She's been working all day in different ways. Yeah, she's not been doing manual labour in the same sense that maybe you have, or hasn't been sat at a desk all day in the same way that you have. But she has been cleaning the house. She has been doing all these other things, going shopping, going out, picking up the kids, doing all these things, and looking after an 8-month-old baby. That's stressful. I can hear a dog in the distance. That's all work, but why is she expected to still be working and cook when she gets home? Do you know what I mean? It makes it even worse when it's in this situation, because she hasn't openly said that he doesn't cook, but that feels like what the implication is, that they don't do a lot of other stuff. Is she coming home and cooking every day? Why is that not a shared thing? They're both working the same hours, more or less, right? So they should both be doing equal amounts of the housework and childcare. What it sounds like is he is used to the idea of a nuclear home, where he will not have to do all these things. He just expects he can come home and rest. Oh, I'm tired from work. Okay, but so's your fucking wife. So yeah, it seems like from that perspective he is just very lazy. The kids, it's hard. I respect the idea of giving kids chores, but also they didn't ask to be born. I'm really torn on that idea, because on the one hand I think it's good to teach responsibility to children, and give them the idea of helping them work towards the household, because it gives them the skills to do that, right? If you say to a kid, this week you're going to be doing the washing, it teaches them how to do it so that when they move out they've got that experience, and I think that's important. But at the same time, you shouldn't view them as as the people that clean the house, because ultimately you decided to have those children. They shouldn't be looking after your house. I'm really torn on it, and I think for me, if I were to have kids, I think those chores would be something that they would get monetary gain from, personally, because I don't know. I feel like that it instills an idea of work in them. I don't know. I don't have kids. I guess I don't have to think about it for a while. But fuck. Yeah, I think that is the part that's complicated. Either way, leaving and saying I'm going to go to the restaurant because you didn't do this. I think it's kind of a power play, and it worked, right? It worked. And saying this is what it's going to be every time, probably unrealistic, because let's be honest, you're probably not going to be able to do this daily. And if it consistently happens, then that's what's going to happen. Or at the very least, say there needs to be communication about it. Oh, I can't do it today because of this reason. But washing up the pots, it takes 10 minutes. Bro, you're watching YouTube. Oh, shit, nearly knocked my coffee off. You're watching YouTube, but YouTube on your phone. I listen to podcasts, or I put YouTube on and watch videos whilst I do the washing up, whilst I mop or vacuum or clean the house, because I work from home, so I have the opportunity to clean the house more so than Katie does. So I do a lot of that work, and I put YouTube on, and like I find it, maybe it's just me, but I find it very kind of like soothing to do that work, because it's non-thinking work, and it gives me time to like decompress and just relax whilst keeping myself active, because I hate sitting down and just watching something. I have to do something at the same time. But yeah, I don't know, I think for that, not the AO. I've really rambled about that one, Jesus. So yeah, not the AO. Good power play, but I don't know. I mean, I guess they needed a proper threat to really kick it into gear. Hopefully it stays that way. I can hear some. That was a train. Oh, my back. Alright, next one is, am I the a-hole for refusing to let my stepson stock inside? My marriage is falling apart because of this. This is a shorter one. So, let me take another sip. Let me move my coffee to the other side here, I think. My wife and I have been married for approximately 3 years. Approximately is, okay, never mind, I was going to say, like, how do you not know how long your marriage has been? But I'm guessing that's just like without saying, like 2 years and 8 months and 30 days. We have previously been married before to other people. My first marriage was 21 years. Hers was about 9. Wow, okay, I was not expecting that, but, you know, fair enough. We got married after dating for about a year. She had a 16-year-old son with her. I had a daughter of about the same age that split with time with myself and her mother. Okay. However, my new wife and her son moved in, and she asks if he can have a dog. I had 2 smaller dogs with me at the time that I had owned for several years. I assumed he would get a smaller breed dog, considering we had a small house with a small yard and 2 small dogs. Boy, was I in for a surprise. He goes in and gets a dog that, as a 3-week-old, already towers over my 2 dogs. The dog is nothing but hell. He chews up anything. It's 3 years old. It's 3 years old. Oh my god. 3 weeks old. What the fuck do you expect it to be like? He chews up anything and everything, and he can get his mouth on. I had a sound system with clip speakers. I don't know what they are, and he destroys them. He ate a chunk out of a coffee table and chewed up my $700 rock. It just never ended. Did you train him? I was very upset by all of this, and even more upset when I caught her son setting his phone up to record me when he left the house. Sorry, to make sure I wasn't mean to his hellhound. You're giving red flags already. He would also take it upon himself to review all footage of my outdoor security system. My wife never said shit to him about any of it. I finally had, and often told him that his dog is no longer allowed in the house. He gets pissed, moves out, and rarely spoken to me since. He shows up to the house to visit his mum, but make sure to bring the dogs. He went out and got another dog with the same breed as well, and tells his mum he won't come inside because his dogs aren't allowed inside. Granted, I did make the concession that whilst it was over, the dogs could stay in the backyard. Not good enough apparently, as he refuses to do that. Now, after years of arguing about this, it's driven me insane, and I yelled at my wife. Now that is framed as the reason for our difficulties. She's getting ready to move out as I type this. What the fuck? So, first of all, I'm honestly kind of shocked that the puppy was given at 3 weeks. Like, that is very, very early, I'm pretty sure, for a puppy to be given away. Secondly, I'm guessing the dog wasn't trained. But it's hard because if honestly, it sounds like a complicated issue again. However, kicking the dog out of the house, if you're really that mad about it, tell him he needs to get it trained. Did you make that statement? Train the dog, otherwise he can't stay here like he's doing all this stuff, or you pay for it. You could say to it, like, you have to pay for this. But then I'm sure that would create issues as well. Personally, I think moving out for him was the best idea. But why is he filming you? Why is he looking at the security cameras? That is a red flag to me, indicating that he probably has a reason, meaning you are probably mean to the dog. But he wouldn't do that for no reason, would he? Why would he do that? So I think, I like the malicious compliance by him. I think that is kind of funny, but at the same time, like, he needs to obviously train the dog if it's doing that kind of damage, because there's only a matter of time before an untrained dog will go out and bite someone, and then it will be put down, and that is not what anyone wants, and that is not the dog's fault. That is the owner not training it. Let's make that very, very clear. I disagree with the notion that dog breeds are aggressive, and I have known many staffs in my time, and none of them have ever been violent. It is the owners. That's my hot take. It shouldn't really be a hot take, but apparently it is. Based on your description, kind of not the a-hole, but at the same time, like, you're doing some a-hole shit, and it feels like there could secretly be some underlying issues there. Because it sounds like you were obviously doing something with this dog, because there's no reason why you would be looking at that footage and trying to film you if that was the case. Alright, I'm going to look for some comments here real quick before we move on to the last one. You either got the dog's age wrong, and the story is complete bullshit. Maybe. But it's hard to tell. Depends how big the dog was. Did he have chihuahuas? Since 16-year-old kid is still a kid, if I said yes to a dog, I would consider it my dog. It's hard. I think it needed to be a case of, like, it's not going to be his dog, but it will be a family dog. I mean, if you're getting married, or you're already married even, sorry, then that's the family unit there. Obviously it's not his son, but at the same time, like, it's pretty, like, you don't have to be like his son to be part of that family. Does that make sense? Yeah, alright, I'm going to move on from that one. Wow, God, I've suddenly got so tired. Let's move on to the next one. I'm really hoping that, I've got a gut feeling that there's going to be a vacuum cleaner being turned on upstairs in a minute. Alright, am I the a-hole for not paying my portion of the boat rental cost because my husband decided my kids couldn't go because he needs a break? I have 3 kids from my previous relationship, 10 to 13, and I have a 10-month-year-old with my husband. I work from home managing my own business and pay half the bills. I also homeschooled my 3 older kids because the school shut down a few months back after the roof collapsed during our last big snowstorm. I do all the cooking, at least 80% of the chores, and the kids do the rest. The only chore my husband has is garbage, laundry once a week, and grocery shopping every other week. Since roughly December, my husband has been incredibly depressed but won't manage it in a healthy way despite me urging him to get help. He's just been isolating and defensive. He works from 8 AM to 4 PM and gets home around 4:30, eats dinner, hangs out with the kids for maybe half an hour, then goes to the garage or his truck to decompress. He comes back in around 8 PM to help me get the kids in bed. He then either jumps on his computer or watches YouTube on his phone until he goes to sleep. Pretty much every single weekend since March he's been going out with his buddies as well. So typically the only day he actually has home is Sunday, and usually either his buddies ask him for help with their vehicles, or he runs his errands, going to the dump, fixing his vehicle, helping his mum, etc. So realistically, my kids and I only have his attention for at most an hour a day, if that, even on his days off. Him and I have unfortunately gotten into at least 3 fights since December because his lack of attentiveness and his constant excuse of "I worked all day / week, I need time to myself." It's truly just the lack of empathy that drives me insane, because I have 0 breaks, ever, and he feels like he should be entitled to more and more breaks as the days go on. So we have thought about it. I will bring it up calmly, and it will get defensive and blow up, and pull the repetitive "I worked all fucking day" talk. The last big fight we had a couple of weeks back, I told him I was leaving. I started packing. He begged me to stay and said that he would try to be better, and suggested we rent a boat for the past weekend, so we could all reconnect and have a nice family weekend. I ultimately forgave him because he showed a lot of effort after that. When he would get home from work, he was present. He didn't go out during the week with his buddies, as he had been. We went on a few walks together, just us and the kids. Collectively, we were still going out. We were still getting to hang out with him for maybe 1.5 hours, but he was inside and more present. Either way, I thought things were looking up. Well, he paid the down payment half cost of the boat 2 weeks ago when we discussed it, and I was due to pay the other half upon picking the boat up this last Friday. However, he told me on Thursday that he decided that he didn't want my older children to go. He asked me if I would have my mum watch the older children, so it could just be him, him, and the baby on the boat. No. I asked him why, and he said because I need a break from the kids. So I was pissed and snapped back. "Oh, you mean you need a break from your step-kids? Your kid is fine, but let's push away my kids because you need a break from them." He said I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but I don't think I did. The kids knew about the trip and were excited. If I dropped my older kids off with my mother and still brought the baby out because my husband decided he needed a break from them, they would be extremely hurt. He kept saying we can bring them next time, but I told them no thanks, and said I won't be paying for the other half of the boat cost. He can either pay it and bring out his buddies, or he can forfeit the money he already put into it already, as it was non-refundable. I didn't end up paying, and he lost $450. He is still pissed at me, stating that I made a mound out of a molehill, but I don't think I did. He is hardly near my kids ever, so him needing a break from them is not, and not his kids, is absolutely fucking wild to me. Am I the a-hole? There is an edit here. He was not like this before he got depressed. My older children's father passed away during deployment when I was pregnant with my 10-year-old. I got together with my husband when 10-year-old was 1, and he was always a kick-ass father to them. He refused to do anything without me and the kids, calls my kids his children. When he got depressed around Christmas time, everything changed. He will get better for a week or 2 and then go back right to the cycle. I have tried urging him to get help, and he will be receptive momentarily and then switch back. He first stated that it was because he was terrified of being a shit father. His dad was abusive. Now the only excuse he uses is I worked all day / week and that he needs time to himself. He still to this day talks to his father at least twice a week. He was not abused by his dad. His trauma is watching his mum and brother be abused. Okay, first of all, I'm going to stop you right there. That ending is totally disrespectful. If he watched his mum and brother be abused, he was abused. I'm sorry, you cannot say that. That made you an arsehole. That made you the a-hole in this story immediately. I'm sorry. You've kind of fucked it at the end there. That's honestly twisted my whole perception. You're obviously pissed off, but that was not an okay thing to say. But yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't understand, and I wouldn't agree, but I could. No, I don't know the word for it because I understand makes it sound like I agree with it. I can see a theory on why he would be like, I want to take our kid and not the others. It's not a good reason at all. If like they were brought from another relationship and he did not raise them from infancy, I disagree with that, wholeheartedly, because still singling them out is a bad thing, but like, you would be able to go, okay, he has that reason, it's a terrible reason, but that's why he's made that choice, or made that suggestion, but it's not because he's raised them, and he calls them his kids. So I don't know why he would want to break from them and not the baby. The only thing I could think of is that obviously they're older kids and having the baby there is less intense and less to really manage, and not wanting to leave an 8-month-old with someone else. So I think that could have been a reason, but I don't know that for certain. What it sounds like is he wants, I don't know, a break, but at the same time, like, so do you. You both deserve a break. Like, that's okay to want a break and ask if your children can be like looked after for a while, but why not take the kids out this time and then go another time? Say like, we're gonna go on this trip together, and then like in say a month or so, maybe less than that, depends on how much you care. But say like that you and her go on a break, but you cannot change the break like that. That's a shitty thing to do. You're not the a-hole there. If he is depressed, he's very clearly depressed, that's a more complicated situation. I think it's hard, man, because you don't want to pressure someone into doing something, but at the same time, like, your life is getting shitty because of it, and you have to be able to protect yourself. I think at a certain point, if it's affecting you and your kids' lives, there's a case to be made that you could give an ultimatum and say, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm sorry, but like, I want to help you through this, but if you are not willing to see a therapist, then we can't be together anymore, because your actions, whether caused by your mindset or not, are killing this family, and I don't want to be here for it. I'm not willing to help you if you're not willing to help yourself, and that is that is fair enough. You have to protect yourself. So in that sense, I think the only thing you can really do is give that ultimatum and say, like, you're gonna go to therapy, or you are gonna be single. It does make me wonder why a 21-year marriage broke down. But who knows why? It could be any litany of different reasons. We shouldn't put assumptions on there, but it's hard to ignore. But you should not have ended it the way you did. That's not okay. Clearly he has some pretty nasty trauma, and he needs therapy for it, and disregarding that is disrespectful. Don't do that. That's my hot take. Some people are suggesting he might be an addict, especially if he's going out to his car for a few hours. That is interesting. I mean, he was, like he said, like, got back at 4:30, half an hour with the kids, went out to the car garage, then came back at 8 o'clock, so that's 3 hours out there. I mean, it very well could be substance abuse, especially if he had, like, clear trauma from abuse. It could be. Yeah, that's something to talk a bit about. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, definitely should be consideration, and but he needs help regardless of whether it's substance abuse / addiction or just depression. Like, he needs help, and as much as I don't want to say it's your job to help, because it's not. As much as you should be willing to help, as much as he should be willing to help you if you needed it, you also need to protect yourself. And if he can't and doesn't want to help himself, like, ultimately you can't be blamed for wanting to leave that situation, because that itself becomes abuse. Someone else has said it. Same thing. It's one of those times where an ultimatum will be necessary. Get help or get divorced. Oh, interesting. When did this story come out? Because the OP has replied saying, "I'm going to sound terrible. I've been stewing this over for months, watching his actions. I don't think he's depressed. I think it's an excuse he clung to because he knew I would be more lenient due to the fact I have PTSD." She's giving way more context. His friend moved back in December. They went out all the time. Every weekend they started bar hopping, staying out to 5 a.m, going to random people's houses, there all night. There were sometimes he would pull in at 9 to 10 a.m. Okay, he's definitely... This man is probably having a midlife crisis, and it's not good. That is not good. I don't know. It still feels like it could be rooted back. I mean, she's doubled down and said, as for his trauma, he doesn't remember the abuse. He was 4 when his dad went to prison. His trauma was never related to him being abused. It was directly linked to him watching his mum and brother be abused. That is still abuse. I'm sorry, but you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong on that. It is abuse. If you're watching your family be abused, it is abuse. And just because he doesn't remember it doesn't mean it doesn't impact you. It literally, oh my god. You can't be an armchair psychologist on this stuff. You have to listen to actual psychologists. Things like that can still impact even if it does not form a memory in your mind. The temptation to reply like that is still abuse. But it does sound like it is linking back to drugs. Now that it's going through. Yeah, everyone seems to be relating to it being drugs. What a shame. Well, here's hoping that she gives him the ultimatum, he sees sense and gets some help for his issues, whatever they are. But there we go, that is another Am I the A-hole? I hope you enjoyed today's video. I've finished my lukewarm coffee. If you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate if you dropped a like on it. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments. Consider subscribing if you're not. So many people that watch these videos are not subscribed, and a lot of you watch to the end, so I don't know, man, you should probably subscribe or something. Consider checking out the videos on the side of the screen, and I'll see you in whatever video comes next. Take care.